Good morning. Thanks, Neil. Good morning, everybody. Who was here for Charles's talk last night? How was that? Right, solid, fresh. All right, so advancing Christianity in the workplace, and I think the title said being courageous. So it's a little bit of a, I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it in the sense that, I believe through work that we can advance God's kingdom, and I believe that we're except for Derek, he's retired now, that if you're there 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and you're touching people that may never set foot in church. So there's a real opportunity to minister. One of my questions, who's self-employed? Who's business owners in here? About half. Anybody likes a boss or a manager, a leader? Couple, okay? And anybody just, not just, but an employee doesn't have a, okay. All right, a little bit of everybody, right? So, how do we, I believe in business. I believe in business in the community. And one of the things that I think it's one of the three pillars in the community. So what do I mean by that? I think there's business, government, and church in that make up a community. And the business provides the money, and the government provides permission, and the church has the people. And I believe we can if we're in business or we're an employee or we can get involved and advance our community or improve our community through some of the things I want to talk about today. So if you're a business owner or manager or leader, I think it's a platform. It's a platform that you get to minister and impact. And if you're an employee, which we all are basically, because if you're a business owner, you're really an employee, you're working for your clients, right? It provides wonderful opportunities. So the concept, hear me here. The concept would be to stir up your perspective and your paradigm. Instead of finding yourself, so I want to speak to, I don't know where you are in your business. It's brand new, it's seasoned, you're ready to step out, you're ready to step in, you're discouraged, you're encouraged. There's all these seasons. There's seasons in life, there's seasons in business. And so what I want to summarize or really want to kind of set as what we're going to communicate today, if you're discouraged or if you're a little bit aimless or if you're a little bit not making the impact you want, or you think about, especially some of you guys, you get to 40 years old and the first 40 years of life can be an illusion. You have all these ideas of what you're going to do, what you're going to impact, and you hit the 40 mark. Those of you that aren't there, hang on, and you just that's where that midlife crisis thing comes from. What did I do? The regrets I had, what am I going to do? I didn't do as much as I thought I was going to do. You were a stud in high school, or maybe you weren't, but, you made your mark, and then it was downhill from there. So, what do you do with that? So the concept would be to stir up your perspective, your paradigm, instead of finding yourself deficient for your passionlessness in some things that matter to God. We want to find places where God's heart and your heart have alignment. And we all have to work. I guess all is probably too strong. Most of us have to work unless you're independently wealthy. And a lot of it's drudgery. I watch a lot of guys and girls that come to work for me, women, and it's without passion. And I really think it's an opportunity to minister and share the gospel and pray for people. So your heart may be kindled, intrigued, or motivated, inspired by one of these verticals, which just may need to push or we may need to push the reset button on your purpose meter. A lot of you know Al Green, right? He roofing business and really contributed to the kingdom in a significant way at I think it was 80, and has made a huge impact that's here with us today. And so I want to speak to you if you're 20 or if you're 80. There's an opportunity to advance God's kingdom through where you are in your life and your station in life right now, whatever season you're in. So one of the verticals is business. Do you have a passion for growing exceptional companies or a company, innovating business models to be profitable and scale and honoring God? It's a great platform. If God's gifted you to be in businesses, then it's definitely a gift. You can make a huge impact. All kinds of ways we can, or is it leadership? You own the business or you don't own the business, and you can help others reach their potential. People that work for you, people that work alongside you. Wisdom, getting wisdom and being accountable to somebody, in the sense that how to make better decisions. So I think being in business, being in leadership, or seeking wisdom, those three things, whether you're self-employed or you're working for somebody, or you're in charge of one person, you're in charge of 100 people, you can build on one of those three things. So I felt like God last year really shared with me and based on what Mark and Dave have done here with George Runyon and a number of other pastors in the community, where they have gotten together for 3 decades almost, I think, George, yeah, and they've prayed with each other. So what's that mean? So I said, hey, you know what? I think we can do more together collectively. I think we can change and impact our community. I think that's the heart of this church, really. Invest in the youth and make a difference. And so they got these pastors together and started praying, and there was opportunities as things came up, political things and things that other pastors needed, where they kind of surrounded, supported, and helped each other and prayed for each other. So I wanted to do that in business. So we started in January. And if you're a leader in a business or you have a business, you're welcome to join us. It's the second Tuesday of every month, and we're at the coffee bar right next door. We meet for an hour, and it was super scary for me, because we get together, and the goal there is to get in relationship with people we don't know. It's not just a Foothills thing. So there's people and men from other multiple of professions and other churches, so 25 guys are showing up pretty consistently, and I'm really excited to see what God can do through us as we build in relationship. So that commitment to show up, and then really that has been out of that has been the opportunity to have coffee or lunch and meet some. There's not enough time to do everything that we want to do in life, it seems. We either waste it, or we're not focused enough, or it's just too busy. And so to be disciplined and intentional about relationship is something that doesn't come real natural to me. And so it's a sacrifice. And so I want to be in relationship, because if you've gone through life for any period of time at all, you'll find that at some point you're going to get kicked pretty hard. And if you're not in relationship with a few people, it's going to be hard to navigate that. It's either going to be marriage, your children are going to go high and right, you're going to have a struggle in business, you're going to face a legal situation. There's going to be something that's going to test you to your core if you're pressing in and growing with God. And that requires relationship, that people can speak truth into your life, know who you really are, and kind of be your anchor. And that's, the whole concept of mentorship and relationship. So the point to all that was, I think we can advance kingdom together. We decided to start meeting, the second Tuesday every month. And the purpose is to pray for each other, lift each other up, and then get prepared. It's really training for, an opportunity where we can impact God's kingdom through business, because business has resource, business has ideas. It's made up of people, and they're very talented. So, do you have a vision or purpose for your time at work? So what's that mean? So I'm going to just maybe hit the reset button a minute and say, talk about benchmarking a little bit. And so what's that do? What's that mean? So I think if you go back the last 3 years, if you, in your mental inventory right now, go back in your last 36 months, I wrote down a question is, what have you done in the last 36 months in your mind has been notable to advance God's kingdom? Or even notable, say, in your personal life, in your marriage. But since we're talking about Christianity and be courageous at work, opportunities that you could have prayed with somebody. So what in your mind, if you go back 36 months, can you mark a couple things down? Can you mark a couple of milestones down? And why? Why would you even do that? Because what are we going to do in the next 36 months? So, were there missed opportunities where maybe we didn't step out and say, hey, this guy's not a Christian, or this, woman to be inappropriate, but this guy, may I pray for you? May I pray with you? What's your girlfriend's name that's dying of cancer that she's at UCSD right now? Or walked by a guy the other day, say, how you holding up? He says, my dad just got served from my mom, divorce papers. Christian family, Christian home, moved here from out of state. Can we pray? Cody, can I pray with you? So those opportunities, what have you done? Is that a notable event? But no, I want to just bring some focus, not in and of itself, but being aware of opportunities that surround you in the workplace that you can reach out and be a light and be God's hands. So benchmarking, where are you today? What have you done in the last 3 years that's notable, that resulted in some kingdom advancement? Have you even thought of we get up and we do our 40. Is there a plan, a vision, or a strategy of how we can gain influence? May invite somebody to church. There's a young lady I worked with at the Kia store. Every single Sunday, it seemed that she had somebody new at church with her, and they're usually a single mom. Guys, be careful there, no single moms. But you can reach out to somebody because their world, everybody's got a story, and there's brokenness. And they're in the midst, and we're rubbing elbows with them a lot at work. So, do you have a vision and a purpose for your time at work? So, benchmarking. So, what's the mission? To prepare Christian leaders. That's what I'd like to maybe come away with today. So, some ideas for preparation for Christian leaders to change their world and build God's kingdom through their irresistible lifestyles and influential works of service. So how can we be a force at work? That we are the ones that, our civic leaders, whether it's our city council, or that would come to for ideas or input if needed. That we are the ones that other people want to recruit because we strive for excellence and have a passion within us. That we are the ones that don't need to be managed when nobody's looking. That we're the ones that show up 10 minutes early to work instead of show up on time and then have coffee and then fritter away another 20. That we are the ones that God does lots of weird things and throws us curveballs. But I know a few people that just because of their work ethic typically don't have to look for a job. They're either recruited, or if they need, so they're not sitting in that unemployment line, and that can happen. So I'm not condemning, but I know a couple people that they're known by their work ethic, and that I'm getting a little bit off my notes. So to prepare Christian leaders. Sorry, guys, hang on. To change their world and build God's kingdom through their irresistible lifestyles and influential works of service. So if we don't benchmark, there's a couple of risks. We can live a long time. I asked Kevin, I said, how's your training coming? And he's real specific in what he's training for whatever race he's going to do. It's real specific markers as far as miles in the swim, bike, run. But we don't have any markers if we're making progress in our kingdom calling. What's your kingdom calling? So if it's not a pastor, if you're not in a church and you're in the workplace, then how do you make a difference? So, and to mark those things, we can go a long period of time if we don't mark them. It's like not having any goals. We just kind of wander through life. Zig Ziglar says we're wandering generalities instead of meaningful specifics. So there's a risk by not benchmarking, or we get so accustomed to moving from task to task to task that we don't dig into and invest in some relationships or stop and pause for a minute. It affects our perspective. So, what types of progress at work? What's that look like? Or how would we give back? You could pick 50 opportunities through just Foothills of areas that we could serve. Or say you're in business and you come up with some concept to support youth venture in the golf tournament. I mean, if so, what's on your heart? What's on your heart, and how do you weave that into what you're doing? Easier for some than others. I get it. But, is there a need? I remember Bill Wilson saying in one message, he says, the need is the call. Is there a need in your work that's in front of you that you are uniquely equipped, or maybe even not uniquely equipped, just uniquely willing to address? So can you help Youth Venture? Can you get involved in the chamber? Kevin actually did that with me and said, hey, you need to join it. But he paved the way, blending marketplace and ministry. So what a great opportunity to bring your standards and what your vision is and what your heart is to a group of people that are in business trying to figure out life just like you, and you have some answers. And they're going through just like all of us. There's just challenges, right? But you have the answers. So, and they're there, right? That's a natural opportunity to get involved. So getting involved in the chamber. Could you extend your home? Lots of young people like to hang out at the house. 1, because I have 3 boys. 2, because we fire up the jacuzzi and we have cigars and just hang out and talk. But it's a great time of fellowship. So what's that got to do about being courageous Christians in the workplace? Maybe they're guys from work. And maybe you don't do the cigars. Maybe you just hang out and talk. But where's your heart? Is it hospitality? Is it evangelism? Heard a great story the other day about a guy being bold, and I think boldness in the workplace, it doesn't always go hand in hand. Jordan Lancaster's driving through the protest recently, right? And some guys and it's in the daytime. We had breakfast a couple of weeks ago, and I saw this picture of him on Facebook. Anybody see that picture on Facebook where he's standing there praying with some people? Down under the tent where the gentleman got shot, right? So he's driving, people are pounding on his car, and these guys are, ready to rumble. So he pulls over, and Jordan, everybody I think knows him, he's tatted, he's well built, and he gets out, and he's kind of a little edgy looking, and gets out, and these people this crowd is forming, and he goes, hey, real loud, and all these eyes turn on him. He says, who wants to come over here and pray with me? And so he said about 6 or 7 people went under the tent, and about 20 or 30, it just changed the atmosphere. His proclamation of truth or of kindness changed the atmosphere. We have that capacity within us to do that at work. We do. You go door to door or stop to stop. You got people coming in your doorway all day long, or you're visiting them. David talked about a little bit about that spirit of sleep, but it's being aware. And it's being aware of extending a hand and proclaiming truth. We don't have to defend anything, but, we can encourage. I don't know what I did wrong here, guys. Hang on one sec. So, I thought of really 4 things to talk about, because I'm passionate that our work ethic is one, or lack of. I wish this thing would work. Hang on, I'm going to change my phone. So 4 things. One, I want to leave you today with maybe thinking about some things you haven't thought about, how you can impact through your work. Two is, what our work ethic, being bold, which I've talked a little about, prayer, and how to take action. In that, I mentioned it, the first thing, work ethic. In Proverbs it says, who's careless in his work is a brother to him that destroys. And I think about, I love the analogy of baseball or sports. And I played high school baseball and college baseball. And I remember to be able to play the game, you had to do what? You had to try out, right? And to be able to get a slot on the team, you had to play and you had to perform. And then to keep the slot, you had to perform. It's a little different at work. For some reason, we show up, once we get the job, it's like a slow dial down from what we did to get the job. I wish it was like a sport. You're not playing, you're out. So it really takes, there's lots of rules and lots of laws that protect employees, but it really takes some self-initiative or responsibility to go the second mile, to do the things I was saying earlier about not having to be managed. It's really a decision for us to that being 10 minutes early, or some of you in here are employees. You don't own the business. What's it mean to lead from the middle of the pack? Have you ever heard that? A guy named John Maxwell talks about that in 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. How do you lead from the middle of the pack? Well, you take. I talked about a need a minute ago. Is there a need that you can meet? You're not in charge, but your boss has a problem, or there's a situation at work, or there's an inefficiency, and you see the solution. I don't know why you see it, but you see it. So can you volunteer to help that? How can you influence and make your boss's job easier? So a lot of you that you're even at a little higher level, you're in charge of a lot of people, and you are already a leader, but you answer to somebody. What actions in you, or you're in business, how do we make our client's job easier? How do we make our boss's job easier? What can we do? And how can we minister to them through providing solutions and resources of our brain and our creativity? So that challenges why, right? Why would I do that? Well, I don't know. Sometimes it provides favor. Sometimes the person you're working for, that's the last thing that you're going to want to do, and God's got you in that spot for a specific reason to break down something in you, probably pride. So we can quit, which I've done, because this guy is just a knucklehead, or we can succumb and dig in and serve and solve a problem and be as part of the solution, not part of the problem. And we wind up, over time, you may or may not gain favor with that person, man or woman, but your reputation and your character is forged, and your kids see that, and your friends see that, and the non-Christians around you see that. It's a testimony. So the courageous, part of the courageous concept here, I'm thinking about this, it's not really, it should be tied to being the responsible. Where we're taking on responsibility for showing up on time, not having to be managed if nobody's looking, being diligent, not compromising in areas. I'm convicted of those things. I'm walking through the store and I'm not quite there on time. Or I do something that, that it sends a message. So work ethic. Your role is to make your boss's job easier. That will minister and possibly provide favor. Not always, and therein lies the rub. This is another one. To have you've all heard this, right? To have a good attitude, and this is not limited to work, but to not murmur or backbite, to not gossip, to honor people, even if to honor people by not partaking in that. Super hard. I don't know if that speaks to you. It's super easy to blame. And maybe you're justified. But the fact that we partake in that is not. What's this got to do with being a courageous Christian? You know what? We know that God's in control. We know that He sees all. He sees ahead of us. He sees behind us. Bill Wilson says we see to the corner, He sees around it. Not everything's just in life, but we're responsible for what? The things that we can control, which is what? Is our thoughts and our tongue. Can we edify, or are we breaking down? Why is this so important? Well, I don't know, just get in a group of people and listen for a minute. It just deteriorates fast unless somebody's bold enough, unless somebody has enough courage to speak truth. Especially in an undeserving environment. How do you be deliberate and intentional at work, where you could set the example and lead with personal responsibility, grace, and support, and if you have to, use words? So the second one was boldness, which I kind of touched on already, not to backbite or complain. I like this. Miles talks about this. Drew Miles talks about this. The Lord will make you the head, the leader, and not the tail. And you will be above, and you will be above only, and you will not be beneath, if you listen and pay attention to the commandments of the Lord your God, which I'm commanding you today to observe them carefully. Deuteronomy. We are meant to impact. We are meant to influence. We are meant to make a difference. We are meant to contribute. We are meant to break down silos and build up collaboration. Something should be, if we move through a workplace, or we move through a client's home or place of business, it should be left better. Not only by the work we do. A simple one, a simple idea, which I need to actually be reminded, because I don't naturally think when I'm at work, is prayer. And what's that mean? Praying for our coworkers, for our boss, for our employees, and our customers, and possibly praying with them. Do you have the you have the unction to say something, somebody's hurting, and to encourage you to pray with them. There's nothing wrong with that. May I? Sure. Inviting them to church. Like I was saying, our friend that worked at Kia, she'd have somebody here, and then next thing I know, with my wife and Zaina and her fiance, these single moms are at our house, and my wife's watching their kids. So out of a workplace situation, wasn't even me, we were just available, and this young lady reaches out. And the next thing you know, they're here at church, and they're attending, and they're in a home group, and I'm talking to Mike about this girl and how she's doing, etc. I don't know. What makes you passionate? Where are you at work? Does it have the meaning you thought you wanted it to have? If it does, that's awesome. Keep doing it. And how can we get better? Join us on Tuesdays. I'd love to hear from you. If it doesn't, how can you move the needle in what you're doing and how you can impact your workplace? Pray for someone. Pray for somebody you compete with. Pray for someone you're jealous of. This is personal surgery. Pray for someone you envy. Pray for somebody you dislike. Tell somebody that you're praying for them about a situation and ask them about a week later how the situation is. Hey, will you pray for me? Sure, I'll pray for you, and off we go. Right? Foyer request and foyer acceptance. Church on Sunday. It's a 2-minute conversation. So ask them a week later. How's that situation with X? That's, part of that is I got a friend that's really, really good at that. But it's being deliberate, and you got to have margin in your life to be able to do it, and the capacity. But if you can, it sure speaks volumes, because why? Nobody does it. You praying for me? Sure. Inviting them to the church, so the action part. Inviting to church or the home group. I put, if we're the boss, we must learn to serve and lead. I've got a statement we circle around the store is we need to serve before we sell. Can we earn the right to do business? I think we need to. I think it's an opportunity to be in business. and a privilege. How do we learn to lead? You know that, so if you're a leader, we're in the workplace, your business is doing good, it's not doing good, your department's doing good, it's not doing good. A sobering thought is that everything rises and falls on leadership. What's that mean? Well, the speed of the captain's the speed of the ship. So can you grow as a leader? I don't know that any of them are just born. I think everybody grows as a leader. Or you can if you're interested, but it's going to take some intentionality. So you went back to the beginning about being intentional, and do you have a vision or plan for your workplace? So one of the things is, some of the young guys are in here that are in business or about ready to be in business. You need your own plan for growth. And some of these guys that have a little more seat time, if you're reading, that's awesome, or listening to podcasts or tapes or Order of Man or, whatever you're digging into, but we should have a plan to grow. And I speak specifically for the young guys because the books you read and the people you hang out with are going to dictate a lot in your life. And we cannot grow internally and stand still externally. We cannot think, I've got lots of guys, so salesmen, they come in, hey, I got 15 years of experience. What he really means to say is he's got 15 years of doing the first year over and over and over and over again. So I think of that, and I know Hank's not in here, but I think of that when I think of the post office, that, you go up and you just show up and you just endure. Hank actually liked his job. If there's any postal people, I'm sorry, but maybe that's not always the case. DMV, pick one. But to make any headway in our marriage, as a dad, in our relationships, we got to have a new idea or a new thought, and to be challenged. And that comes if you've got them from a friend that you spend time with because he challenges and we sharpen each other, or it's going to come from your time in the Word, or it's going to come from the books you decided to read. Do you have a plan for growth for 2017? I'm thinking about the whole political environment right now frustrates the daylights out of me. I can only control what I can control, and that's how I respond. And I know my God's in control. And I think as Christians, well, what the good part is, once we finally feel things being taken from us, we're probably going to dig in and start fighting for them. But we haven't yet. Because freedom's there, and the price was paid a long time ago, and we've forgotten. I don't know why. The deep sleep David was talking about this morning. Whatever the reason is, there's apathy. There's apathy in the workforce. This is what I'm trying to talk about. I don't think I can share anything new with you here today. And we're done in like 5 or 6 minutes. And, does it change your life? Just want to encourage you a little bit. Can you dial up what you're doing a little bit? Can you get a new idea? Can you decide to read some books in 17 and have a plan to grow your life so you can improve in some? Do you even have the desire to do that? If not, can you pray and ask for the desire to do that? Because some of us don't. Some of us, you just beat on, and you're done. Or you're not where you think you should be, and you're done. God's got more to do. God's got more to put in you, got more to get out of you if you're not punched out. And work's a perfect place to bring that out, because we're there every day and we can do it with excellence. How do we do our jobs with excellence? We should be the ones that everybody wants to hire, recruit, or do business with because we do it with excellence. We don't at work. I do not get everything done with excellence. That is my aim. That's the heart, is to grow people, get better, serve, earn a good reputation by doing things right. But we should be the ones. Our kids, our children, right? My boys are 25, 21, or 2, and 18. Your children should be the ones, your friends that are young and coming out of college should be the ones that everybody wants to hire, because they've been taught a work ethic. They don't, they've decided to, they're the ones that, in time of crunch, in crunch time, you're the one. I'm stuck. I was riding with David couple of weeks ago, and I'm stuck, and I called my particular son because I knew he'd answer and pick up. I know. So we should be the ones that are that to our clients and the people at work. And work's just a part of life. I know it's a tool for finances, and some are good and some aren't. Some are making it and some aren't. But why has God got you where you are? And how can you move? How can you flip up the monotony and the boredom and actually advance the kingdom in your workplace in 2017? How could you do that, sir?
Really appreciate all you're saying. There's an important avenue we have to share the Lord, and that's what this is all about. Advancing the kingdom. And that is bringing the light to people who don't know it. One of the things that you're talking about, one of the things that I noticed when we were talking is that as an employer, I've gotten many opportunities to share with customers, employees over the years, and it's been a thrill. But one of the things that has helped me is knowing that people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that attitude and you can share that with them, God will open up opportunities. But if we fill our minds with the Word, our words come and go. God's Word lasts forever. And if you can share the Word and opportunities that God gives you, you know, we want to have the tools to be able to advance the kingdom. Having courage is important, but you have to be prepared to do that, to share the kingdom. And so as employers, employees, all that you've shared was great. And but as another thing I wrote down here was, whatsoever we do it as unto the Lord. So we're letting Him lead us moment by moment as the opportunities avail, and you listen to people. Listen to what they're telling you. Sometimes you have to read between the lines. And then have that Holy Spirit boldness to say, can I pray for you? I was sharing with a lady, a customer, and she was sharing how she was so depressed and everything, and I said, well, can I pray for you? And to my surprise, she said yes. And within a week or so later, I came back, and she was sharing how much I could see the whole difference in her countenance. Mm-hmm. That was just a customer. But I just wanted to share, you know, people really don't care what you know, and what we want to share with them is the Word. That's what we know. Mm-hmm. But they don't really care how much you know until they can see how much you care.
Good point. You know, another, on that topic, I think, and I've been guilty of this, I feel, I think I hold back because I feel like I'm hypocritical, and I am. I don't have it all figured out, right? So we don't share because of, if you stand up and you start saying, hey, I'm this and I'm that, and I believe this and I believe that, or you say, even better, instead of start saying it, you start living it, people are going to take shots. But that's part of the deal. Yes, sir.
I wanted to share. Thank you.
You bet.
Hi, my name is Mo. Just want to share. I have the opportunity to actually work for a Christian company, Panera Bread. I don't know if you guys heard about Panera Bread. We help the community a lot, and it's hard sometimes. I know it's hard sometimes as a leader, just to in the everyday situations, because I usually have a lot of teenagers working for me. So I know that I'm a very important part of their professional development, because I get them right out of high school. You say, right out of high school, pretty much everything goes down. How are you going to lift them up? How are you going to take them to the next level? How are you going to make them understand that, yes, it's a job, but your education is more important? When I want them to work 100% for me, I'll make sure that their education is important. So as leaders, don't give up. If you try something, try something new. That's what, the definition of insanity, right?
Yep.
So if you try the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, it won't work. Don't give up on your efforts. Do anybody knows who invented the light bulb?
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Do you know that he fell 2,000 times before he got it right? So think about that. Don't give up on the opportunities. Try to keep on going. One prayer can change your life. You never know, but you never know until you try it. And once you try it and you succeed, it will change your life. And it will change it in a different story, because really, who's working for the money? I should give up that a long time ago, because I know that I'm not going to be rich. But I know that God put me in the position as a leader to have the opportunity to touch many hearts, many people along the way, to help them with the first opportunity for a job, to be the person that I had to fire you for the first time, but I'm going to tell you why. It's hard, right? Because it's not always about the good, but just don't give up on it. You have to keep on trying. And yes, you don't have to share everything that you know about the Lord, because, you know, talking to some people is like, well, talk to them about life and why life is important. And then they're going to wonder, I wonder why you think that way. And when they know that you're a Christian man and you believe in the Lord, that's why. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to rehash it, you know, read the Bible, do this all the time. Be an example, like he's saying. Be the person there that they actually look up to, say, you know, I like this guy's life. I like the way he thinks. I wonder why he does different. And they will come to you, and then when every opportunity you have, say, you know what? I don't mind saying it. I'm a Christian man. I love the Lord. So keep on going. Don't give up. It's a long road ahead of us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Let's close. And I'm telling my wife this morning, I don't know if it did, but my heart would be, you've got a unique spot on the roster, on the field, and you can make a difference in the play. You have the capacity to impact. We have the capacity to impact. And you got guys sitting next to you going through the same struggles. We either were or we're gonna. But that's the opportunity for ministry and through work is phenomenal. So I want to close with this. Sorry, George? Anything? Anything you wanted to add or no?
I do have one thing if I could.
Got to turn it on. Nice hands.
And I used to be in electronics. I used to be in electronics. I was sitting here just reflecting back 50 years, half century, and when I first entered into the marketplace and went to work for a company, and I said, Lord, how do I live for you here? And the Lord gave me a principle, and He says, make your boss a success. It's not about you. And I began to understand that is the message of the kingdom. And that had nothing to do with where he was at or what his life was like. It was about, he was my authority. And I was to make him a success, and God says, I'll make you a success. And then I learned later on, with employees, I learned that I needed them to give me input, that I wasn't at the top, and I knew everything, and they were just doing work. But when I understood that I needed collaboration, when I needed to hear what they were thinking and what they were sensing, that would help me. God would use that to help me be a better employer.
Good word. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Well, I appreciate you coming. I'm going to close with this. That comment that you have a platform. And I want to encourage you to realize that I don't know where you are. You're on top, you're on the bottom, you're in the middle. You're discouraged, you're encouraged, you're depressed, you're opportunistic or pessimistic. You know, the encouraged part is good because you're doing good. Be mindful of the influence you have. The discouraged part is not. You need it's some time in prayer or some perspective from a friend. Because you have a platform, and God's put you in that spot to impact. And you know, So he's given you a voice and a space. So increase that voice through actions. There are only two motivators in life: fear, loss, and hope for gain. I want to see in my lifetime Christians walk in the second motivator, hope for gain. The first one is created by the enemy to kill, steal, and destroy. If we as Christians operated from hope, we would vote, we would contribute. Our kids would be the ones all the businesses wanted to hire because they had such a good work ethic and they had integrity. We would add value. We would not move. We would not run. We would not quit. We would press through with the hope and knowledge that our God is an unshakable God, that He knows our future and our past, that He directs our steps and wants to bless His kids, that we as Christians would walk as King's kids, that our descendants would know their inheritance because of our willingness to pedal downhill and go the second mile. So, lunch outside in the foyer. Thank you for your time. Back in here, Mike Slater, 12:55, I guess, because we're live on the radio. Thank you very much for your attendance.